Okay, so we are starting to look at fractions now that we've talked about integers. So I wanted to give you a quick refresher on how to add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators, just in case you needed the memory jog. Okay, because remember, when you add and subtract fractions, denominators have to be the same. You can't add and subtract if they have different denominators. Okay, so I'm just going to I'm going to pull up the IXL lesson, and the first questions I come to, those are the ones I'm going to answer. So this first problem says 3/5 minus 1/10 equals. Okay, so when we're adding and subtracting fractions, we want the denominators to be the same, but we have to use multiplication to get there. We can't use addition. For instance, in the first fraction, it would not be okay for me to say, well, if I add 5, then that would make 10. So plus 5 here, plus 5 here. That's not how that works. We need to use multiplication. So if I am going to get these denominators to be the same, then I want to multiply this 5 by 2 to make it be a 10. We're always looking in these problems to get the denominators to be the least common multiple. And what I mean by that is if you list off the multiples of each denominator, 5, 10, 15, 20, and then the other denominator 10, 20, 30. What we're looking for is the number that they have in common that's the smallest in that list, okay? So for these two numbers, it's going to be 10. So we're looking to make the 5 look like the 10. So we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator in 3/5 by 2. Let me erase this stuff here real fast so we can rewrite this problem here. Okay? So we're going to say 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. So now we have 6/10, and then this fraction is just going to stay the same as 1/10. Now we can subtract. 6 minus 1 is 5, and the denominator stays the same. We can simplify this fraction. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 1/2 is our answer. Okay, now the next problem I come to is 2/3 plus 1/6. If I list off my multiples of 3, 6, 9, 12, I find out that I actually come to 6 as my next multiple. So 6 is going to be their least common denominator or their least common multiple. So we want to use 6 as our common denominator. To get 2/3 to have a denominator of 6, we would multiply by 2 over 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. And then we add the 1/6 and we get 5/6. You can't reduce that, so that's your answer. If this method is a little too challenging for you, it's hard for you to figure out the multiples and to keep that all straight in your head, and you feel like it's too much work to list them out, I have an alternate method. It's called the box. They teach it at the high school, so I thought I might as well give it a whirl here. What you're going to do is when you come up against a problem, so let's say like the next one I come to on IXL is 1/2 plus 3/4. I'm going to make this box as 2 by 2. I'm going to put whatever sign I have here. So if it's addition, you'll put an addition sign. If it's subtraction, you'll put a subtraction sign. Your first fraction goes out here, and your second fraction goes up here. Now you're going to multiply to get into the box. So what I mean by that is 1 times 4, you put the product in here. 2 times 3, you put the product right here where they would cross. 2 times 4, you put the product right here. So 1 times 4 gives you 4. 2 times 3 gives you 6. And 2 times 4 gives you 8. Now, what you've just done is created two fractions with a common denominator. So let me circle these with different colors so it makes sense. So 1/2 has become 4/8, and 3/4 has become 6/8. Okay, so notice they both have this common denominator right here, and you just used it twice. Okay, so we are going to then set those up. 4/8 plus 6/8 equals. Now, since they have common denominators, you're just adding your numerators, 10/8. Now that requires some simplification. They're both divisible by 2, so we're going to simplify to 5/4. But that's just another way, if you have trouble thinking about what their common denominators are, you can use the box to help you find them. I'll give you one more example of that on the next slide. Okay, so here's a subtraction problem. 8/9 minus 2/3. Okay, so we make our box, put the subtraction sign here. Our first fraction goes here. Our second fraction goes here. It's really important that you keep this in order, because if you accidentally flip them and do the 2/3 minus the 8/9, that gets confusing. Okay, so if we multiply to get in, we get 24 here, 27 here, and 18 here. Now just a reminder, 8/9 has become 24/27, and 2/3 has become 18/27. Okay, so when we rewrite this, we have 24/27 minus 18/27. 24 minus 18 is 6 over 27. Whoops. Let's try that again. 27. And that simplifies to, when we divide both numerator and denominator by 3, 2/9. Okay, so try lesson HJ3 if you haven't yet, and hopefully you can knock it out of the park. Good luck.